Hey there, friends. It's Hank McGurk here. We're starting, well, not really starting, but I've actually been in the process of developing a game for a very long time. I stepped away from it for a little while to get to Fallout, and now I'm going to take a step back into this because I've always been a big fan of the Final Fantasy series. And if you're a big fan of classic RPG, then maybe you'll be interested in this work. This is an open source independent game. Let me just give you a taste of kind of the general overline or outline, the storyline, the geography. Today we'll do that. All right, so what you're looking at is an unfinished overland map of Solania. And Solania is basically an Earth-like planet consisting of kingdoms and differing types of geographical regions. And the technology is medieval in most areas, pre-Renaissance in some advanced areas, and magical and exceptional isolated cities previous to the incursion of chaos, because that is the main part of the storyline, which I'll get to in a moment. Previous to the incursion of chaos, Solania was primarily dominated by civilizations of humans, elves, and dwarves. Monstrous humanoids have coexisted alongside civilized areas, either as supplicants, soldiers, or bandits. But some creatures like goblins, orcs, lizardmen, fae, and dragons are all native to Solania. Undead and other magical constructs did exist previous to the incursion of chaos as a result of magical experimentation done by necromancers. Now let's briefly go over the overall storyline, the very basics of it. The way that the game is set up, it's essentially characters that you recruit, and you start as Prince Liam of Ansalon, which is, if you look at my cursor here, this is all Ansalon, this southern area. This is central Ansalon. This is northern Ansalon. This is eastern Ansalon. And about 500 years ago, Ansalon was a completely united kingdom. But Liam's father married, his first wife died. Let's see if I have her name here somewhere. Let's see. Let me at least pull up my screen so you can see me while I look through these notes, because there's a lot of them. I've done a lot of work on this here. So, okay. All right. Ansalon, a kingdom divided. Long ago, Ansalon was a single kingdom, now divided into three main areas: northern Ansalon, southern Ansalon, and western Ansalon. So I guess this one over here, let me refresh my memory. So this would be southern Ansalon. This would be western Ansalon, and this would be northern Ansalon. Okay. Now, in the days when all of Ansalon was united, the people of the kingdom enjoyed splendid Roman-style architecture, advanced knowledge of the esoteric arts, such as alchemy and spellcraft. Previous to the year 986, a group of scholars, builders, magicians, and seers named Fama of the Fraternity of the Meritorious Order flourished during a time of enlightenment, discovery, invention, and academics. Most of these scholars lived on the southern and western landmass. Now, this area over here is dominated by a religious faction that pays homage to the goddess Nimue, who is the goddess of beauty, and the handmaidens of Nimue are all blessed with incredible beauty and extremely long life for humans. And the high priestess of Nimue is essentially immortal, but can be killed. She just won't die from old age. So that's important later on, because the main character, Prince Liam of Ansalon, from 500 years ago, being part of the royal family, knows the high priestess of the future. Her name is Talia, and they were friends growing up. So he recognizes Talia, even though all this time has passed, she's still alive, because she's the high priestess of Nimue. So, now, in Western Ansalon, the handmaidens of, maybe I haven't decided on these names yet because I've got a few different things in my notes. Sophia practiced hermetic, white magic rituals in conjunction with prayer from their isolated city of Tarsus, which is like a great walled fortification, a great city of tremendous beauty, or at least it was in Prince Liam's time, before chaos was unleashed. And the high priestess and the other handmaidens of Sophia possess great beauty and live long lives in perfect health, a gift from their extraplanar patron Sophia. When all of Ansalon was at peace, the handmaidens of Sophia traveled throughout the kingdom, healing the sick, teaching and performing other charities in the service of Sophia. Now, the Inquisition of 986. Now, Ansalon is bordered on the north by a mountain kingdom known as Morfenzi. I'll show you that here. This would be Morfenzi. This is the northernmost part of Ansalon. This is still kind of part of Ansalon, but not really. It's disputed territory, or it was when Liam was alive. And this all here is kind of unfinished. But this is the upper outline of the mountain, and it'll turn into more like mountain-looking area like this. But this would be Morfenzi, which is a very, very rugged, dangerous place infested with all sorts of vile creatures and such. Now, steep, snow-topped mountains make overland travel through Morfenzi difficult, sometimes impossible. Though Morfenzi, let's see, in the year 1970 or 972, King Haggith III of Ansalon lost his beloved Queen Abella in a wasting disease not even the most skilled healers in all of Ansalon could cure, not even the handmaidens of Nimue or Sophia. I haven't quite decided. I think I like Nimue better. It just all depends on how it reads. Some things read better, some things sound better. So we'll make that distinction along the road. And your input, of course, is welcome. This is an open source game. Using a relic in the dark arts of necromancy, the then Lady Mindara of Castle Tiferet in Morfenzi cursed Queen Abella, obscured the evidence of the casting with the help of her familiar Nadad. Now, Nadad is a demon. Now, under the ruse of sympathy and grief, Lady Mindara traveled to Castle Turpin in northern Ansalon, and I'll show you here. This would be thereabouts, Castle Turpin up in this area somewhere. And Lady Mindara's Castle Tiferet going to be somewhere in northern Morfensi. But she travels to Castle Turpin to console the bereaved King Haggith III with her familiar Nadad, the demon, but in guise as a toad, posing as her human son. Well, I guess Nadad, well, he can take many forms. Sometimes he travels as a toad, sometimes he travels as in his true form, like a winged imp. And he can also take other forms. So he posed as her human son. A short time later, the ever graceful, enchantingly beautiful Lady Mindara, the evil Lady Mindara, of course, was wed to the widowed King Haggith III, making her Queen Mindara of Ansalon. So King Haggith, in his bereavement, believes Lady Mindara's consolements, and Lady Mindara is then able to solidify her control of both Morfensi and put herself above all the barons and the dwarves that mine that have citadels beneath the surface of Morfensi. The elves don't even go into that place. A few of them do. And so basically she, through this wedding, takes control of the entirety of Morfensi and Ansalon, with her demon familiar posing as a son. Now quickly Queen Mindara and a cabal of black art magicians who had concealed or had coalesced around Nadad began a campaign of terror in which members of the Fama and the handmaidens of Sophia were imprisoned, executed, and tortured. Having convinced King Haggith III that members of the Fama were responsible for the death of the late Queen Abella, that was the ruse, the trick. So because they weren't able to cure her, and King Haggith III in his bereavement believes these lies that Lady Mindara tells him, and that the Fama is responsible, and so are the handmaidens of Nimue. I'm going to continue to call it Nimue until I finally decide whether or not I want it to be Sophia or Nimue. I think I might stick with Nimue. So, and they convinced the members of the Fama, that secret group that was out, Fama, the fraternity of the meritorious order, was responsible for the death of the late Queen Abella. The armies of Ansalon fought brother against brother in a decade-long conflict of tremendous bloodshed. So this is the separation of which once the United Kingdom of Ansalon. It's separated now into Southern Ansalon, Western Ansalon, and Northern Ansalon. Now, Western Ansalon, because of its geography, and my overland map is designed specifically for the storyline. I just haven't gotten to flesh it all out, because any indie game developer knows it takes a long time to do a lot of different things. But you can see here that the geography makes it very difficult for Western Ansalon to really be conquered, if you will. So there'll probably be a bridge, maybe here, maybe here. I have not quite decided yet, but the bridge to Northern Ansalon will be blocked by soldiers by the time that Prince Liam of Ansalon returns, because this is one of those odd things about chaos. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, it's just chaos. And I'll get to how that was released by the Pantheon. So this is right here, Haparu. We'll go a little bit closer. This is Haparu, which is a very isolated mountain town. This is where Prince Liam is going to return. Then there's the cave complex that you basically will go through down here to reach Green Deep Vale, which has news of the kingdom. Haparu is isolated enough not to have to really be concerned with most things going on in the kingdom, because it takes a great deal of effort to go through the mountains to even reach it. Green Deep Vale knows a little bit more, but by and large, it's mostly out of the way and small and beneath the notice of Lady Mindara. But it still has to pay taxes and all these other things that they don't like to deal with. But the soldiers are not there all the time. But around the bridge and in northern Ansalon, it's completely dominated by these evil soldiers. And then as you go towards southern Ansalon, you go up around this area, cross the bridge here, and then I'm going to build in all the area until you can finally get south to Tarsus. Okay, so the geography, you can see how the geography affects the storyline. All right. Now, the Fama appeared destroyed, along with much of southern Ansalon. The handmaidens of Sophia, or Nimue, retreated to Tarsus and had not been seen in over 300 years because, well, their city was a great fortification, and there's a lot, there was a lot of magical wards and magical power, so it never really got penetrated or attacked, but nobody has seen it in 300 years. And of course, Prince Liam, coming from the past, doesn't know any of this. This is all new to him. Even though some sites and some people are going to be familiar, things will look similar, but definitely time has passed. And Prince Liam is the sole true king, the sole heir, the last living heir, except for Elindir, which you won't find out about until later, because Elindir goes into exile and survives. But that's one of those things, too, that's part of the storyline where the characters will go forward and backwards in time. And the reason that I've named the game Crystals of Chaos is because there are several different shards or crystals that each possess a quality of chaos. That kind of, when chaos was completely released, these shards burst out of the astral and into the prime material plane and into this world. So you have like a shard of growth. You have basically a shard of dimension, which is space, like physical space. You have a shard of time. You have a shard of well, I'll get to that stuff later. Now, there was a quiet peace, satisfied no rivals of any strength were left to oppose her. Queen Mindara I and her progeny rule over Ansalon with an iron fist. Most people of Ansalon are terrified of the Iron Guard, agents of the crown corrupt officials from Castle Turpin. For those with the courage to seek, they may find treasures, secret societies, and ancient languages. The power on the throne in Castle Turpin is expected to be a descendant of Queen Mindara and King Hagath III, but few are really certain. The bridge to the northern continent, which I was speaking of earlier, which would be around this area somewhere, has been blockaded, and only a writ of passage obtained by the surviving high priestess of Nimue, or Sophia, will allow the player to pass. So Prince Liam, if he's looking to return to his castle, he won't be able to do so easily or readily. He'll actually have to travel to southern Ansalon and find Castle Turpin, or let's see, the city of Tarsus, to get that writ that will force the soldiers off the bridge, or release the drawbridge or whatever that will allow him into northern Ansalon, because this is something that even the dark power on the throne is very interested in. So that's just a little bit of the overview of just that one continent, or just a tiny piece of this continent and the story, which is pretty much what I'm going to cover in this episode. Okay, we'll go back to the map. So there's allies that you're going to find along the way. So Prince Liam is going to be gaining experience. There's the Sages of Haparu, and some secret areas, of course. And then in Green Deep Vale, there's a kind of a nerdy girl with Renaissance level technology, because she's an inventor and her father's a clockmaker. And her name is, let's see if I can recall. Tremendous amount of notes everywhere here. Let's see. Classes, scrap, skills, items, enemies, duplicates. There. Variables and control log. Let's see. This is mostly coding stuff in here. Okay, so I probably have her up in the front here. Now the reason I'm going back to this project is I had done a lot of work on it, a long time, a lot of work on it, and I lost some of that work. And because I was doing it in ACE, and then I retooled for MV, and then one of my computers crashed, and I basically lost all the work that I had done. So when you do a lot of coding, it's so heartbreaking to lose, 250, 300 hours of code. So I went to Fallout for a little while, even though, I've spent a long time working on this project. Okay. All right, we got some characters here. So you're already familiar with Prince Liam. Well, let's talk about the what happened to bring about chaos. There was basically there was Vominomen, who was kind of the wisest and the oldest of this godlike pantheon. You don't really necessarily want to call them gods. They're just very, very powerful beings that typically reside in the astral plane, but they can do things in the prime material and then the negative energy plane, and all over the different planar cosmologies. They have access to all the different planar cosmologies. So you could call them gods if you wanted to, but they're just super powerful extraplanar creatures that grant their followers knowledge and special abilities, and through prayer to certain ones like Nimue, you can gain prayer spells or white magic. well, you can also do the same. You can pray to the evil ones as well and gain magic that way too. But basically, you had Vamanoman, who was the wise. He kind of dominates over wizardly aspects, time, void, craftsmanship. Pryderi, who is and names are a work in progress, about honor and strategy and sacrifice. And then Nimue, which would be beauty, vitality, and feminine wisdom. Epona, who would be balance, nature, and cycles. Ridoran, courage, freedom, storms. So Ridoran is kind of the patron of swashbucklers, barbarians, pirates, just the power and the fury of the storm, or even could be the gentle nature of the storm, a little bit more of a chaotic type of individual, but not evil. And then Azami, the youngest one. Aurora, which would be goddess of the dawn. Well, Azami was the youngest, or the newest part of this pantheon. And her portfolio was that of ambition, change, and fortune. She didn't have the power that she wanted. And of course, ambition and change being part of her portfolio, as well as fortune, she had a tendency to believe that she could master forces, perhaps, that should not be messed with. So, through a long search that mere mortals can not even really conceive of, she seeks out the essence of chaos. Now, chaos is not in a physical form. It's just chaos. It's just an attribute of the universe. Well, Azami figures out how to turn chaos into a physical being, and believing that she can destroy chaos in its physical form, then she'll be able to assume all the power that chaos has. Well, chaos is a chaotic thing. She is able to get chaos to manifest in a physical form, but it doesn't work out like she had planned. And chaos is destroyed, but not really. It just burst into the prime material plane, kind of emanating from these shards. And it's not only throughout the prime material plane, it's also throughout the prime material plane and in time. So you'll actually, as the characters, be moving forward and backward in time. That's why, Liam is from the past, and Talia lives for so long. There's other little things like that, and secret areas that you can get to by entering different areas at different times. Like I say, there's a kind of like an enlightened period of Roman architecture, a more ancient period of enlightenment, and then kind of a dark ages where Lady Mandara is in control of Ansalon, which is kind of a medieval dark ages sort of thing, with secret societies and bastions of knowledge that are hiding out. And then there's a Renaissance age, and there may be even other things like secret type of stuff. So Azami actually ends up being imprisoned in a shard. So this quasi god, I guess we could call her a demigod, for lack of a better term, ends up imprisoned in a shard very near where Talia was. So, and chaos has a tendency to turn things on its head, for good or for bad. It's chaos. So monsters and other extraplanar creatures are appearing all over the entire prime material plane, which is confusing everyone. So, and let's see, I think the first character that you can actually enlist is, and you don't have to enlist these characters. You don't. Like I say, it's kind of like Final Fantasy VII, and you do end up with. There is a control variable that's on a plus or minus scale to determine kind of your alignment. Runs in the background. So some characters will join you only if you have good enough alignment, and other characters will only join you if you have a scummy enough alignment. And in the dialogues, they'll talk to you and talk back and forth to you. All right, so Kira is one of the first ones that you can enlist. I'll show you where she would be. That would be Green Deep Vale, which would be here. Like I say, she's a daughter of a clockmaker, and she's a genius inventor located in the town of Green Deep. Curious, energetic, and well-read, she's one of the first, other than the sages and Haparu, to recognize Prince Liam on sight, because she has a very open mind. She puts a very investigative, she's a genius, so she has a very investigative mind. She's seen his picture in a book and is absolutely convinced that this is what it is, even though it should be seemingly impossible that a prince from 200 years ago would just appear. She knows who he is. So she suspects, so she has these suspicions about these chaotic happenings and links it to Liam's appearance. So she's going to want, she's a neutral character, does not care if Prince Liam ends up being good or evil, but she will always be a part of the party if that's how you want to arrange it. She's fully committing to restoring Solania, or I think it's what I'll call it, Solania. I think that's a good name for an Earth-like planet. Solania. I don't know. We'll think about it. And your input is always appreciated. And she wants to restore the world back to a state of order and relative peace. Now, she's verbose, she's rambling, she's ditzy. Even though she's a genius, she's kind of socially awkward, let's just say. She's rambling, cheerful, sometimes irritatingly so. And basically her job in the very beginning is to help guide Prince Liam through the changes of the past 200 years and help him get familiar. She can also read ancient languages. There's I think I've designed 5 different languages that you can learn, and some characters already know, and if you can read these languages, sometimes it'll give you a spell, a special ability, a prayer. Translating these writings is kind of part of the bigger architecture of the sub-games or subplots to the overall game, because I wanted to make Crystals of Chaos a game that was going to have an element for 3 different types of players. In my experience, you have a people that play role-playing games, you have something called a grinder. And he's going to go out and run back and forth over an area until he can get the most powerful weapon that he can buy from that settlement before he moves on. He's going to get as much gold and treasure and everything before he moves on so he can meet the next challenge with confidence and ease. You have some people that like to solve puzzles. And the puzzles will unlock things and give you experience. So, you know, if you don't feel like grinding, you can solve puzzles. They might be combination locks. They might be a series of items that you have to find in a town. You might have to do like a courier type of mission, a fetch mission. You might have to push like a series of blocks around, things like that, puzzles. Or, you know, maybe even break your way through a bunch of beer bottles on the ground and wake a sleeping woodsman. And then the other way is, I wanted to leave something for everybody. What was that third? What's that other aspect? And you've got the people that like to, you know, go into all the subquests and stuff like that. And then typically in an RPG, you have a third type of player, which right now eludes me. But I should know. But like I say, I've got stacks and stacks of pages and notes over here, which we can go through at any time. And the main classes depends on who you recruit. Like Liam is a fighter, swordsman. Fighter basically determines your general stats, and swordsman's kind of like that secondary class that gives him special abilities when he equips a sword. If he does not have a sword equipped, he cannot use those special abilities. You could have a fighter berserker combination where they can fight with a weapon in each hand, and are unable to use their special abilities unless they have a weapon in each hand. You have sages, a sage class. So Kira's base class would be sage, but she would be a sage inventor. So she learns a process of skills based on what she wants to study. So if she's studying physics, or there's basically a skill tree that takes you on to the next phase. And I'll go on into the game mechanic and how the game mechanics work at a later time. So, you know, all of us indie developers out here, we know it's quite a bit of work to do these things all on our own. So if you want to contribute, you want to make a map, music, you want to write dialogue, you want to do, if you have in your mind, you know, an image of Kira, then, you know, be more than willing to take a look. So, I mean, because this is what I've had, you know, basically just to play with so far, and not that great. And I have done some other things that I've worked on, but I haven't filled out, you know, a great deal of the database yet. I'm going to primarily start working on maps, but I do have, you know, some animations and icons. I've done a full package of icons and sized them all in. So I've loaded a tremendous amount of assets into the game to use, of all different types. So I just haven't done any assignments. Haven't worked out anything with these enemies. Most of it's in the notes, and I'm just gonna have to program that into the game. I forgot that you guys weren't looking at my video capture device, so you know. So you can see how the curves are different as they progress. And cleric, rogues, monk, scout, alchemist, swordsman. So, I was debating on whether or not I was going to do like a Final Fantasy 1 sort of thing where you could actually take 4 characters and build them. But I like the Final Fantasy 7 storyline driven stuff a little bit better than just the base Final Fantasy 1. Final Fantasy 1's a great game, but I wanted to go a little bit more storyline based, even though that is far more difficult and far more time consuming as far as programming dialogue and writing all the dialogue boxes and putting those in different colors and such. That's still the way that I'm going to do it, because that's cool. I think I like that idea of finding new friends and having strange interactions between characters. Okay, so, and then I've got a whole series of states, and I'll go over this stuff in another video. We've got some special stuff already in here. I might have programmed a few more in. So let's just take a look at one of these animations. Yeah, my animations are not too terrible. Let's see if we can see if I got one for skills. So guard breaker, it'll do this. So let's see. It's been a long time since I've used the software, so let's see if there's a test mode. And we'll see if we can get the guard breaker or something to work. in there, so there's no point in if I haven't set the animations up for that. Certainly is no point in trying to demonstrate something that I haven't programmed in there just yet. So I didn't like these this character creator as much. I do like the side view stuff, but I wasn't super impressed with the face generators. So I thought I did put in some new images, but I'm gonna have to find them. So I guess we can go over some of that stuff later. I'm gonna get to work, do a little programming, leave me a message, and it's been Hank. I'll catch you on the flip side.